Hi everybody.
Welcome back to Professor Academy. People call me Professor, and today we're going to be talking about 20 travel phrases that you should know. So, let's go. Do you have any recommendations? The first phrase is, do you have any recommendations? This is great to use when you get to a restaurant where you don't know what the food is. You don't know anything about the local cuisine, or you're just feeling a little bit adventurous. You can ask the waitstaff, do you have any recommendations? How much is this? How much is this? This is useful when you're out shopping or when you're in a restaurant and the price is not clearly marked or something is not clear to you. So, you can ask, how much is this? Usually, when you point to something, I would recommend pointing to the menu or pointing to an item. How much is this? I'd like this. You can point to something and say, I'd like this. If you want to say, I'd like one, for example, if you're getting beer, you can say, I'd like one of these. If, however, you're in a situation where you can't point, you can say, I'd like 10 of the blah blah blah. I'd like 10 of the blue t-shirts, please. Can I try this on? This is useful when you're shopping for clothes. So, you find something that you'd like to try and just ask the staff, can I try this on? You can also say, I want to try this on, if you prefer. Do you speak English? You might get asked this phrase, so you should say, yes, if you're watching this video. You should probably say, yes, or you can say, yes, a little, if you're not feeling very confident. If you're watching this video and you're understanding this part and you say, no, then that's a little strange. I have a reservation. Usually, the staff will greet you, and you can say, I have a reservation. Hello, I have a reservation. It's at 7 o'clock. The name is Professor. Usually, we say, the name is, or it's under, meaning the reservation is under my name, or it's for name, or it's in name. Water, please. Depending on which country you're from, water may or may not automatically be brought to your table when you're at a restaurant. If you would like more water, however, you can say, water, please. To make it a little more polite, you can wave at the waitstaff and say, could I please have some more water? Do you take credit cards? In case you're not sure if the shop that you're in will accept credit cards or debit cards, you can ask them, do you take credit cards? So, it doesn't mean, do you take? Meaning, are you going to take my card? But this take means, do you accept credit cards? This isn't what I ordered. If you're at a restaurant and you order steak but get lobster instead, you can look at it and go, ah, this isn't what I ordered. Be careful, though. Say this politely. If you look at the waitstaff and say, this isn't what I ordered, they're going to be like, I don't know. Just be a nice customer. Excuse me, but I don't think this is what I ordered, or this isn't what I ordered. Can you please check? Could we have the menu, please? If, for some reason, you don't receive a menu when you come to the table, you can again just wave at a member of the staff and say, could we have the menu, please? Could you give me a discount? Could you give me a discount? Means, I would like a cheaper price. It depends on which country you're in if haggling or bargaining, meaning talking to the seller to try to reduce the price, is common. My family didn't bargain. We didn't haggle, so I don't haggle. It depends on you and your culture. But just be aware of the culture that you're in and the place that you're in before you ask this question. Do you have any vegetarian dishes? This is useful for people who have specific eating requirements or needs, maybe due to food allergies, for example. You can replace vegetarian with a specific dietary requirement that you have. Do you have any vegan dishes? Do you have any gluten-free dishes? Do you have any low-fat dishes? Do you have any low-carb dishes? Do you have any fish-free dishes? Could you take a picture of me, please? If you are in a location where you would like to take a picture, but you don't want to do a selfie or you don't have a selfie stick or whatever, you want someone else to take a picture of you, a stranger that you don't know, you can ask them, "Could you take a picture of me, please?" Or, "Excuse me, would you mind taking a picture of me, please? I'm allergic to blah blah blah." If you have a food allergy or even an allergy to a medicine, this is the phrase you can use to explain that. I'm allergic to wheat, or I can't eat wheat, for example. Is the Wi-Fi free? Meaning, can I use the Wi-Fi free of charge? Keep in mind some places have a password that you have to ask the staff for. So you can say, "Is the Wi-Fi free?" If they say yes, you can then follow that up with, "Can I have the password?" "I'd like to have a non-smoking seat, please." When you go to a restaurant, you have an option between smoking and non-smoking sections. The staff will say, "Smoking or non-smoking?" You can say, "I'd like to have a non-smoking seat, please." Quite honestly, though, the most natural response is just to say, "Non-smoking." Could I get a map? Maybe it's a map of the subway system for the city that you're in, or maybe it's a map of the area around your hotel. You could say, "Could I have a map?" as well. Could I have the check? You're finished at your cafe, you're finished at the restaurant, and it's time to leave, it's time to pay. So you say to the waitstaff, "Excuse me, could I have the check?" Another more common expression perhaps is, "Excuse me, check, please." You might also hear, "Bill, excuse me, can I have the bill?" Where is the bathroom? Very important question. If you're traveling in America, we don't really use the word toilet or washroom very much. We use bathroom or restroom to talk about toilet facilities. "Excuse me, can you tell me where the bathroom is?" Or, "Excuse me, I'm looking for the bathroom," or, "I'm looking for the restroom." Is this the train for blah blah blah? Or, is this the train that goes to blah blah blah? To confirm with someone that you're indeed on the correct train line. If I say, "Is this the train bound for San Francisco?" you can use that to check if you're correct. 10 compliments that you always want to hear. Let's go. I love your cooking. This is my personal favorite compliment. Oh my God, I love cooking. Like, I'm always posting pictures of things that I cooked on Twitter. I'm just like crazy about food. So, this would be a compliment that I would love to get. The ultimate compliment for me, though, would be, "Will you make my birthday cake?" That would be such a compliment. Like, it's a question, but there's so much behind that. Will you make my birthday cake? You would give that to me. So maybe after a meal, for example, you can say, "I love your cooking," and the other person will be like, "Next is, great job. Great job." This is a compliment that you can use any time. You can use it with your friend, not with your boss. Your boss might use it with you, an employee, a coworker, a colleague, a pet even, whatever. It's just a very small scale, very easy to use compliment that means you think whatever has just happened is good. I use great job all the time. I use great job and I use good job. Sometimes, when I make a mistake or something funny happens and I'm alone at my house and I want to make fun of myself, I'll be like, "Yeah, great job, Professor." But if I'm trying to be positive about a failure or laugh at myself a bit, but in general, it's just a good, easy compliment to give someone. Great job. You have a way with words. You have a way with words. This can be speaking. This can be writing. It means you think that the other person is a good communicator, or maybe even more so than just a good communicator. You think that the way they speak or the way that they write is particularly good. So that could mean funny, it could mean romantic, it could mean dramatic. Something about the way they speak or the way that they write, you really enjoy that. You can say, "You have a way with words." It's quite a nice compliment, I think. It's kind of like a, bit smart. It's a bit of a smart thing. You have a way with words. Or you can say you're good with words. You're really good with words, yeah. All right. Next one. You look gorgeous. You look gorgeous. Very nice compliment to give. Just be very careful with the way that you say this. For an everyday compliment, I tend not to say you look nice or you look gorgeous today or something like that because the underlying comment there is, on the other days, that person doesn't look nice. So, if I want to compliment someone's appearance, I try to pick a specific thing. I'm like, "Oh, I've never seen you wear that sweater before. It looks nice on you." Something like that. Like, yesterday my friend had a new dress on, and I was like, "Is that a new dress?" And because I thought she looked nice. But I didn't want to make it sound like I don't think she looks nice every day, so I said, "Is that a new dress?" And she goes, "Yeah." I said, "I think that color is really, really nice on you. It looks really good." And she was so happy about that. So, yes, there are these compliments like you look nice, you look great, you look gorgeous, and so on. But I personally kind of prefer to level them up a little bit and just say pick a specific thing like, "Did you get a new haircut? Did you dye your hair? Did you get something? Did something happen?" Like, whatever it is, try to pick up on a specific thing because then that shows you're paying attention to the other person. And you think that whatever they have chosen to do, whatever clothing or whatever haircut, whatever it is, you think that they have good sense there too, or good style. So it's kind of like a double. That's a very subtle double compliment. Yeah. The next word is you have good taste. You have good taste. This can be for food, fashion, style, decorating sense, music, movies, whatever. If you think that that person's artistic selection is, in whatever capacity, if you think that person makes good choices with their appearance or their hobbies or whatever, you can say you have good taste. This is a fairly sophisticated compliment, I think. We use you have good taste for something like, it sounds a bit more sophisticated. Maybe if you both choose the same bottle of wine, perhaps, it has kind of a more formal, adultish, sophisticated feeling about it, this compliment. So yeah, maybe wine is a good example of that. Yeah, oh, nice bottle choice, like, I really like that. You have good taste. You can follow this, by the way. You have good taste in blah blah. You have good taste in movies. You have good taste in music. If you want to be specific about something that you think that person is really good at choosing, you have good taste in noun. Okay, yeah, okay. Next one is you have a great sense of humor. You have a great sense of humor. This is the underlying compliment in the phrase you are so funny. This is the underlying compliment. You have a great sense of humor means the other person thinks you're funny, that you are good at telling jokes, or you make them laugh. This is actually one of my favorite compliments to get. You have a great sense of humor. Yeah, because I think that, people like to laugh. So, if someone makes you laugh, you can say this, you have a great sense of humor, or you're very funny. Yeah, it's a good one. It's a really good one. So you can say this after a joke, for example, or after maybe you've finished laughing at something the other person has said, you can say, "Oh, you have a great sense of humor." Good. Next one is your resume is impressive. This is a weird compliment to say to your friends. Unless you're like reviewing your friend's resume, it's a bit weird. This is something that perhaps someone interviewing another person for a job would say. The candidate comes in for the interview. The interviewer says, "Wow, your resume is very impressive. I'd like to ask you a few questions about it." Yay. So this is good to hear in a work situation. Yeah. You really probably won't need to use this with your friends. If you do, it's kind of weird. Oh, wow, this next one is quite a compliment. Nobody's ever said this, man. To be fair, if somebody said this next one to me, I would feel a little bit of, pressure. The compliment here is you make me want to be a better person. This is something that I think you see in movies from time to time. First, yeah, I had one person say "Oh, that's something you did inspired me," and that was really "Oh, that was really exciting," like somebody was inspired by something. "Wow, that's great. I want to be like you." That's a really cool compliment. But if someone says you want to make me be a better person, it's "Oh, wow, that means I'm really important to that person," which is really flattering. But at the same time, if someone said that, I would also be if it's my friend, I would be "But I want you to be you. I think you're a cool person already." Yeah, it's "Oh, you make me want to be a better person." In that person's viewpoint, you're somehow above them, and that's uncomfortable. Yeah, I would rather say you inspire me. I think that, or this thing that you did really inspired me. If somebody said, "I saw that picture that you posted on Twitter of that pizza today, Professor, and it really inspired me, and I made my own pizza," I'd be "Yay." Oh, next one is nice. Actually, I say this to my friends quite a bit. You are an awesome friend. This is really, really good to use after your friend has helped you with something. Maybe you're moving to a new apartment, a new house, or maybe you've had some trouble and your friend gave you some good advice, or your friend just listened to you when you really needed to talk to someone. After that experience, you could say, "Thanks so much. You are an awesome friend." Or maybe your friend did something really, really cool, and you just want to tell them, "I think you're really awesome." Just say, "You are an awesome friend." They'll be happy to hear that. Or you can abbreviate it to, "You are awesome." Not just, "You're an awesome friend." Just, "You are awesome." You're a cool person. You are awesome. You're fantastic. You are an awesome friend. You're an awesome friend. 10 ways to motivate yourself when learning English. Let's go. The first way to motivate yourself is to imagine that one day you will live in the United States. So to do this, imagine what is your day going to be like when you live in the U.S.? Where will you go? Who will you meet? Where will you shop? And so on. Imagine your day in the United States. Okay, the second way to motivate yourself when you're studying English is to study other aspects of the culture too, which makes it more rewarding to study English. Okay, so this means, of course, studying English as a language. But if there's a specific country that you would like to visit or a specific part of that country's culture, try to learn about that too. If you like music, if you like the food, if you like the history, try to find something about a specific country or a specific part of that country's culture that you enjoy in addition to studying the language. Okay, way number 3 to motivate yourself is finding funny words in English. Okay, so finding a word that sounds funny or a word that you enjoy using or a phrase that you enjoy using can really increase your motivation for using that word and for interacting with people. So if you can find those phrases that you think are funny or are fun, they can be really, really helpful for you as you learn your language. The next way to motivate yourself is to make friends with people who speak English. So, of course, if you don't have any friends who are English speakers, especially native English speakers, it's a really good idea to make some friends. This way you can practice with them, you can learn from them, and you can just see maybe what their life is like and how their life is different from yours. So this is a great way to practice, a great way to learn, and a great way to think more internationally as well. The next way to motivate yourself is watching YouTube videos of other people who have successfully learned English. So you can listen to people. What worked for them? How did they study? Where did they go? What materials did they use? What did they find not helpful? So, you can try to find a strategy that works well for you through using resources like YouTube, for example. It's a great way to find people that maybe match with what you need. Okay, the next way to motivate yourself is by watching English movies and TV shows and enjoying the feeling when you can understand a word or a sentence. Yeah, I do this too. When you enjoy something, when you find entertainment value in something like music, movies, or TV, and there's that moment when you pick up or understand what your favorite character said or understand a key point in the story, it's a really, really good feeling. It makes you want to continue watching, I think. So, that's a really nice feeling, and you can do that by enjoying media. It's a fun way to learn and a fun feeling to experience. Okay, the next way to motivate yourself is by reading English news articles, blogs, and magazines to get a feel for formal and casual language. The style that we use here, like in Professor English class and the videos on this channel, is quite casual most of the time, or at least in these videos, it's very casual. But the way that I speak and the way a newspaper is written, the way a magazine is written, the way a newscaster presents the information, these are all different ways of communicating. We're using the same language, yes, but they are different styles. So, it's important to try to understand those differences and to become familiar with them. So, try to find a few different things that you can enjoy. The next way to motivate yourself is, after dinner, you write about your day in a journal in English. Okay, this is an interesting idea. Just take a few minutes after dinner or before you go to bed to write something in English about what you did that day. Or maybe, so you have a chance to talk about the future tense or to use the future tense, you can talk about your upcoming plans or the things you're going to do the next day. You can talk about the past tense, what you did that day, maybe the present tense, how you're feeling as you're writing your journal for the day, and the future tense to talk about your upcoming plans. So, journaling can be a really effective exercise for motivating you. Okay, the next way to motivate yourself is by practicing with flashcards of useful words and phrases for 15 minutes every day on the train. I actually do this. I use an application to study Japanese to study kanji. 15 minutes every day adds up over the course of a week. You can learn a lot of information in a short period of time. And if you live in the country where your target language is spoken, you might even find a word you studied on the train. You see it, like after you leave the train, you might see that word later on in your day. So, you can immediately feel an extra sense of motivation by knowing that this thing you're studying is applicable. It's something you can use right away. It's a really cool feeling. So, this is a tip I honestly use. Lastly, I make sure to thank anyone and everyone who corrects my English. Yeah, I think this is really important because people are really nice. They don't want to correct you when you make a mistake, but sometimes people do. They're really polite about it, and they tell you a more natural way or give you a suggestion for how to improve your English. Make sure you say thank you. Repeat after them and then say thank you so that you know it's motivation for them to tell you again in the future, to help you again in the future. So, make sure to say thank you to anyone who helps you with your English. Hi everybody, my name is Professor. Welcome back to our English class channel. Today, we're going to be talking about the difference between by and until. So, let's get started. Okay, so first we're going to talk about by. By marks a deadline for an action to finish. By marks the point where an action completes or is replaced by another action. So, really think about using by to express a deadline. Something is going to stop, or you must finish an action at this point in time. So, we can think about by as marking some point in the future where an action is going to finish, where an action is going to be completed. In an example sentence, I have, I'll be at the office by 7 p.m. So, in this sentence, the speaker is not at the office, but 7 p.m. is the deadline. This is the point in time at which the speaker will be at the office. The speaker is not at the office now, but by 7 p.m., by the 7 p.m. deadline, the speaker will be at the office. This will shows us this is a future tense expression, and by shows us the deadline, the point at which that action is going to be completed. So, this is how we use by. Think about it like a deadline, some point in time at which an action will be completed or finished. Okay, so let's continue on to the other grammar point for today, which is until. Until also has a more casual form we can use, till, till, or apostrophe til. You might see both spellings used for until.
Till or till.
In most cases, it's good to use until. In casual speaking and maybe in casual writing, you can use the casual form, but until is always polite and always correct. Okay, so when we use until, let's talk about when to use until. We use until to talk about a continuing situation or a continuing state, now in the present or in the future, but it's going to change or stop. So, one key difference here perhaps, is a continuing situation, a continuing state. With by, the nuance is a deadline. Something is going to finish at a deadline. Here, however, until gives us the nuance of something that's continuing, something true now, for example, but that may not be true in the future. Until marks the point where that action or that state is going to finish or change. Okay, so we can think of it rather than as a deadline as a key point in the future somewhere where action A continues until a point where we use until, and then a second action begins. Something is going to change at the until point. With by, however, we don't have the nuance of an action changing. We only have the nuance of a deadline. So here, until is used to show that something different is going to happen or something will finish, but there's going to be a change after the until point. So, for example, this sentence, very similar to the by example sentence, is I'll be at the office until 7 p.m. So here we have the future tense, I will. I'll be at the office until 7 p.m. This sentence shows us the speaker is at the office right now. However, at 7 p.m., until shows us that 7 p.m. is the point at which the situation or the state is going to change. So, at 7 p.m., the speaker is probably going to leave the office. Until shows us that right here, the action or the state is going to change. So, please keep that in mind. Until shows you a change in something. By shows more of a deadline for an action that is continuing. So, I hope that we can practice this in a few example sentences now. Okay, so let's try to choose the correct word to use in these example sentences. Should we use by or should we use until in these cases? So, the first one I have is, he has to find a new job blah 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 March. So, in this case, we see a point in time. We can think about it. Should we use by or until here? If we use by, we see that the deadline nuance matches here. He has to find a new job by March. If we use until, he has to find a new job until March, there's no information in this sentence that shows us a hint or that gives us a hint about how the action is going to change. Until does not make sense for this question. So, we should use by in this case. He has to find a new job by March is the correct answer for this sentence. In the second sentence, I'm not going to go to bed blah blah blah, I finished this movie. So, in this sentence, we have at the end, I finished this movie. So, there's some action maybe that's continuing here, and we have another action, I'm not going to go to bed. In this case, it's a negative, so there are two actions here. This is a pretty good hint that there's an action that's going to change at some point instead of the nuance of a deadline. So, for this sentence, until is the best answer. I'm not going to go to bed until I finish this movie. This shows us that at this point, the point where I finish the movie, I'm going to go to bed. This marks the change in the continuing state or the continuing situation. So, the next sentence is, they need to write their reports blah 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 tomorrow. So, this sentence so you can try to find a strategy that works well for you through using resources like YouTube, for example. It's a great way to find people that maybe match with what you need. Okay, the next way to motivate yourself is by watching English movies and TV shows and enjoying the feeling when you can understand a word or a sentence. Yeah, I do this too. When you enjoy something, when you find entertainment value in something like music, movies, TV, and there's that moment when you pick up or understand what your favorite character said, or you understand a key point in the story, it's a really, really good feeling. It makes you want to continue watching. I think so. That's a really nice feeling, I think, and you can do that by enjoying media. So it's a fun way to learn, and it's a fun feeling to experience. Okay, the next way to motivate yourself is by reading English news articles, blogs, and magazines to get a feel for formal and casual language. So the style that we use here, like in Professor English class and the videos on this channel, is quite casual most of the time, or at least in these videos, it's very casual. But the way that I speak and the way a newspaper is written, the way a magazine is written, the way a newscaster presents the information, these are all different ways of communicating. We're using the same language, yes, but they are different styles. So it's important to try to understand those differences and to become familiar with them. So try to find a few different things that you can enjoy. Stay connected with us for remaining parts. Thank you. Bye.